Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. Thought we could start off with a few fun icebreaker questions. First question, what are three words that you would use to describe yourself?
Myself. Um, Adventurous, uh, persistent, and hardworking.
Okay, I feel like these are good words. Flipping it, what are three words that your friends would use to describe you?
Oh, sarcastic, uh, loyal, and fun.
Okay, I love that the first one is sarcastic. Gives me a sense of your sense of humor.
For sure.
If they made a movie about your life, what would it be called and who would you cast to play you?
Oh my gosh, that is so tough. What would it be called? Don't take no for an answer. No, that sounds terrible. Never quit.
Okay.
Who would play me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I might as well go at my younger age or my age now.
Who would play younger Eric and who would play like current Eric?
Current Eric, let's just go with Bradley Cooper. No,
Okay, I could see
I don't
that.
know. I don't know. I actually don't know. I'm just making that up. I don't. Younger. Um, who are some young actors out there nowadays? Give me some ideas. Who do you think would play me?
I'm also so bad at keeping up with actors. I feel
I
like
I don't know who's out there that's young that would play me. I really don't know. Zach
that's
Efron.
okay.
I don't know. I can't answer that. I can't think of who would. I'm like thinking, trying to physically match up to me and who I like as an actor.
Just who
Um,
you like as an actor. It doesn't have to physically match you.
oh, really?
Does
Okay.
that change your Bradley Cooper answer?
No, not really, because he's not really physically like me totally either. But we can keep Bradley Cooper. I think he's incredibly talented. And Jacob Eldroy. I don't know. I know he's a popular actor right now.
Okay, there we go. Okay. You
Or
also
Theo James. He's also good. I like him
Oh my
from
God, I love him so
White
much.
Lotus.
I have watched Divergent so many times.
Yeah, he's good. I like him.
Yeah, I was like, wait, have you seen his new Netflix show? Like, I think it's called The Dental.
No, I haven't seen it, but I've seen it on there, but I haven't watched it
Yeah.
yet.
I haven't seen it yet. I've only seen the trailer next week, though. You also host a podcast called He Said Ayadiho with your wife, Rosalind. Who would be some of your dream guests to have on the podcast?
Oh, I mean, so many, to be honest. So many. I'm a big Brad Pitt fan. It'd be great to have someone like him. Would love to have a great athlete. Like I'd love to have Shaq on there or something like that. These are, very difficult gets. Um, that's a tough one to answer. I love covering all sorts of topics. So I don't have any certain genre or certain space that I'd like to sit in with interviews. Um, but I just love learning about people's life journeys. I think it's fascinating. Everybody's got a different path.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, who knows? If you put it out in the universe, maybe one day it'll happen. Bailey will coordinate this for you.
Listen, we had Matthew McConaughey not too long ago, and I was blown away. I've always been a fan,
Yeah.
but like I wanted to be just his friend. Like he was so cool, so down to earth, so insightful. Was just a great guest. Really great. We're supposed to possibly have Ricky Martin soon, which would also be a fun one to have.
Oh, okay. I need to listen to the Matthew McConaughey episode.
It's good. It's about his children's book that he launched. It was really nice. Yeah, it was good.
Oh, okay. Okay, adding this to my list of things to check out. Last icebreaker. Can you share a fun fact about yourself that other people may not know?
I can be very goofy. Uh, and like I said, sarcastic. But I not everybody that knows me or people that don't really know me don't necessarily think of me as being sarcastic.
Mhm.
However, I'm very sarcastic with my humor, very dry, and I do like to be goofy too.
Okay, I can see this a little bit from your TikTok.
That's like my alter ego on TikTok. That's how I look at TikTok.
It's a different version of Eric Winter.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So diving into acting and a little bit about your background. What's one piece of advice that you wish you could go back and give your younger self, like looking back on your career to date?
Continue to believe in myself and what I'm trying to accomplish. Because I early on when I started acting, I went through a stage where I was getting very close to a lot of things, um, and I kind of just got done with it. I
Mhm.
just stopped. I dropped out. I stopped acting. I quit for like a good a good few years. I actually started the fire department program for LA City Fire. I was going to be a paramedic. I started going down that road, and I just, there's so many lows in this entertainment world that if
Mhm.
I could have just told myself, you know what, just keep heading north, keep heading in your direction, don't stop. Um, it would have been a great piece of advice.
Yeah. What made you kind of get back into acting after you kind of like dropped out and started doing the fire and everything?
In like a weird fluke, I used to model a lot, and so I would travel to Europe, and that was sort of became my bread and butter, even while I was acting.
Oh, okay.
And I'd make a great living doing that. And 9/11 happened, and
Oh.
they stopped a lot of the travel, obviously, with what was going on.
Mhm.
A lot of the trips I would take to Europe on a regular basis just got cut. Like accounts were being cut. They weren't bringing as many American models over. To
Mhm.
I would go to Germany almost like every 2 weeks. I'd fly to Germany, and all of that dried up. And because it dried up, I went down this road of you know being a paramedic. And one day my old agent had called me and said, you know what? I really think you should come back out. You've been getting, requested constantly for different movies, different things, and you've said no to everything. Um, there's a soap. And I was like, I don't ever want to do a soap. I don't want to do a soap. And she goes, there's a couple soaps that really want to see you. So because things had just gotten slow on the modeling side, and I was still down the road with the firefighter side, I just said, well, hell with it. Hadn't acted like for a couple of years, and went and auditioned for two different soaps and got test offers on both, and then ultimately got one of them and had to drop out of the process of going into the academy for the fire department.
Yeah.
So totally on a whim, and then sort of fell back in love with it again as I was continuing to work at that point.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's kind of cool that you kind of just that it kind of just happened and fell together. And I mean, hey, it worked out now.
Yeah, I always told myself I would never struggle if I got into entertainment because I went to school to be a doctor. Like I was in medical school when I was a pre-med
Mhm.
student at UCLA. And I always told myself as soon as things dried up, I would just stop entertainment. I wouldn't sort of be a struggling actor. I wouldn't be a struggling model. I wouldn't I just, not that I have anything against it. I just personally was like, I'm not going to be a struggling artist.
Yeah.
If it works, it works. If I can't support myself, I'm going to stop. And I think had I just kept forging ahead, I probably would have worked it out.
Mhm.
But that was one of the reasons I just quit. I was like, I don't want to struggle anymore. I don't want to be, I need to make money.
Yeah. Was there ever a point where you kind of like stopped having like the pre-med, like paramedic thing in your back pocket? Like was it like was it always something where it was like in the back of your head, like, oh, I could always go back to this?
The pre med thing was gone because that was just too much work to go
Oh,
back
okay.
to school for that. I mean, I got my degree. I was a psychobio major at UCLA. I dropped out school to start modeling, went back to school and graduated, but changed my degree to psychology because it was a little easier to manage with all the travel I was doing. Um, but then realizing, I can't go pre med. It's just too many hours, too much work at that point. I kind of kept the firefighter paramedic thing at my side for a little while when I first started on the entertainment road again. But once I started working on a regular basis and knew that I could make a living, then that sort of fell by the wayside, and I just dove in and got myself passionate again and believed in myself and just kept studying, studying, studying. As far as the acting goes.
Yeah, that makes sense. It was like I feel like everyone always says like once you kind of get momentum, it seems like it continues.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it does. I've been in this business for 20 plus years now, consistently since that comeback, so to
Uh-huh.
speak. And it's always like this. I mean, the business is up and down until you sort of hit superstar status. And even then, there are very few that just dictate all their own terms. You could be a movie star and you're still not satisfied with the roles you're getting or the things you're getting. You're still grinding, you're still fighting. So you have to learn how to manage that inside and
Mhm.
accept it for what that's the business.
Yeah.
You have to accept it. It's not like any other business.
It's really different. I was like, I feel like I only see it from the outside looking in a little bit, but it's like I think it's very different from like any other industry.
It's just a creative. Like anytime you're in something creative where your opinion isn't the or your hard work isn't the final say on the product
Mhm.
because you're basing it on consumers and other people's opinions. It's very tough to rely on that. I came from an athletic background where it's like the harder I work, the better I'll be. There's no denying if I'm putting up points in a game where I'm doing this, there's results. But with acting, you could work. I always say this to people that ask me advice with acting. I say to stay persistent and stay in it. But there are so many phenomenal actors out there that are unemployed, and there are so many horrible actors out there that are considered movie stars. It's just the way it is. Like you can't. There's no rhyme or reason because it's everybody's opinion. Some people might think this person's a great actor, somebody might not, and your whole future depends on that.
Oh, I never really thought about it like that, but that's true because I guess your final or like the final product, like the movie, TV show, whatever. I think it's dependent on so many factors and I guess an
Yeah.
individual performance is only really part of it.
Yeah, if you're a writer, you're a director, if you're an artist, a painter, I mean, I paint something, you might think it's horrific. You might think it's ugly. Somebody else might think it's beautiful and buy it. So it's so hard when you're put in that position to make a living.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I guess you mentioned you've been in the industry for about like 20 plus years now. As you've kind of like evolved as an actor, how would you describe the changes in your approach to roles and storytelling?
I definitely look for, at this stage, I like to find the more complicated characters for myself to continue to grow as an actor. Um, I was often very early on typecast based on the way I looked. You're going to play this type of role, you're going to do that. And it was very hard to break out into more of an edgier role or a role that, I mean, my show on my character on The Rookie is a perfect example. Um, I had worked with a lot of these producers that were part of this project on a previous pilot. And when The Rookie came up, I had some people saying, let's get an offer for Eric. And other people just said, he's not this guy. He's not Tim Bradford. He's too nice. His looks don't work for this character the way we see it. So I had to go prove myself to a bunch of people who knew me very well that I'm an actor. I can act this character. I can be this guy.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Wait, was the pilot the one that you had worked with them on before? Was your character like more similar to like how you would describe your personality?
He was a lawyer. He was a lawyer that was a consigliere for like the mob. So he was a lawyer with an edge, but he wasn't like a jerk like Bradford in the original pilot. Tim Bradford was
He's in
extremely
one.
mean. You know what I mean? He was tough. He had a lot of baggage. He was a very broken individual, but people, you didn't see all that right away. You had to sort of learn that about him. And in the audition, he was one of the scenes. He was a real ass to the Lucy character, and in another scene, it was with his ex-wife where he was like completely vulnerable. And the previous role that I did with these other producers was just more down the middle. I'm a lawyer. I'm tough. I'm firm. There wasn't as many colors to him.
Mhm.
And I've played that character multiple times. I played romantic comedy so many times. I played doctors. I played lawyers, um, and so many different roles. But I'm generally considered the nice guy. And if I'm a jerk, I'm a little bit more of like a douche, if you would call it, like in Harold and Kumar. I'm like the mean guy that's just a jerk. I'm not like a hard ass or
Mm,
edgy,
yeah.
if that makes sense.
How did you kind of like get into character for Tim then, since it's like different from I guess like your personality and like characters you played in the past?
It was just a lot of character creative and development on my side, just looking at the material, looking at the script, looking at the sides, and creating who I thought he was,
Mm.
um, without fully knowing, because you don't really know when you're creating it for an audition. You're kind of giving your best version and working with a coach and trying to bring all that together. And then when I got the role, I had a bit more freedom to explore and also getting direction, obviously, from the director and the showrunner at that time, but to really try to hone in. And the truth is, as the series has gone on, he's evolved so much. So I've learned so much about who he is. So it's like I'm always exploring with it, which is what I really like about the role.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it's been like 6 seasons now and over 100 episodes. I guess like what aspects of like Tim's character like have you found like the most intriguing or interesting to like explore over those like seasons?
His continued baggage that sort of makes him the way he is. We just had it in season 6 with his ex-military baggage and the things that he did in his past and sort of the lies that he committed, and his rough upbringing with his father and being abused by his father. These aren't things that I could relate to as a person, but I had to sort of dive in and find out what that was, and how that could shape somebody. But I'm always intrigued by the way Tim has overcome adversity through his upbringing, um, and how much he's grown into this sort of leadership role, of who he was in the military, who he is now, and sort of how loyal he is to the people close to him, to a fault that he'll actually go against the law in a sense, even when something's to help the greater good.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, especially his evolution over the past like 6 seasons. I feel like when he started out in season one, because I watched like 1 through 5 like back to back, like in like 2 weeks. So I feel like I saw the evolution sped up.
Quickly, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool to kind of see like how he changed from like season one and then kind of slowly like kind of like opening up, like dealing with some of the baggage. But I mean, I don't know, I don't know where season 6 is going at this point.
Yeah. No, there's a long way to, season 6 has a few more episodes left to sort of see where he goes. And now with season 7, there's a long way to go with Tim. He's, yeah, you saw the evolution. I think he's one of the um, most well crafted characters on the show. He's really been um, consistently, somebody put into a character evolution like I've never gotten to play. So it's been fun for me to see how much his journey and his arc has changed and flowed over the seasons.
Yeah, for sure. Like for some of those like more like challenging or intense scenes, like some of the ones that you had in season 6, how do you kind of like maintain like authenticity and emotional depth, kind of making sure that those performances feel true to Tim's character?
Some of that obviously we bounce back and forth with the showrunner when we get the scripts and we talk about it and what their vision was when writing it and how we sort of feel playing the character for so long. But it's funny when you play a character this long and for this many seasons, this many episodes, it becomes very easy to stay true to who he is. And the writers are so good, so it lends itself very easily to adapt to what they're writing, um, and build from it. So a lot of it is if you're honest with the material, you're honest with yourself playing the role. A lot of the emotions and the way you play it, to me, I find they come out naturally. You don't have to overwork. You should never have to overwork when you're acting it. You should feel natural whenever you're doing. So as long as the material is good and you're keeping the material honest with yourself when you're saying it and playing it, then everything starts to flow. You're bouncing off the other actor, and the emotions start to come out, and you're reacting to what they're doing as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess like thinking back on the past like 6 seasons, is there a particular like storyline or moment that stands out to you as like especially impactful or memorable for Tim's character?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest shifts we saw was when Lucy got kidnapped and put in a barrel. I think that was a massive moment and a character shift for Tim, where we really saw how much he cared and how loyal he was and how much at fault he felt for that situation and how hard he took it. So I think that was a huge shift for the audience and for Tim's growth. And then, through that, when we started learning about his past with his dad, that would be the next step I thought was big. And then now going into season 6, it's like it's happening yet again, where Tim's past is coming out and bringing out more depth, with who he is. Obviously, the stuff with his ex-wife too. I should say, we're big in the pilot. That was the most redeeming factor with Tim. Everybody people hated Tim, and then they saw that scene with his ex-wife, and they're like, "Oh my god, this guy's." They felt bad for him, and that's been really fun to play a character that people hated and then truly loved. Like it was a great thing to feel as an actor, getting that split reaction and the growth with the audience.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about him the first couple episodes.
Most people didn't like him. They didn't like him. They found ways to like him in some sense, but they started to feel bad for him and empathize with him when they realized what he was going through with his ex-wife.
Yeah, I think you did a good job of kind of like characterizing that. I feel like in the beginning, like the first couple scenes, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. What do you feel are some of the biggest like similarities and differences between you and Tim?
Tim's got a sarcastic sense of humor for sure. He's loyal, like I said, the way I feel like I am as
Mhm.
well. And he's very protective. He's very protective to the people around him. So I think those are definitely some of the similarities that I connect with in Tim 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess so the dynamic between Tim and Lucy has like changed a lot like throughout the series. How do you approach kind of portraying the complexities of their relationship on screen?
And it's again, I guess it comes back to that similar answer of being authentic and true to that real relationship and with the writing. And we talk it through a lot. We both are very protective of those characters, Melissa and I. So we're always collaborating. We're always talking with Alexi about it. If we see something that doesn't ring true or feels a little off for us, we go get clarity from Alexi, or we work it through as actors. And I think that's really being honest about the characters and what they're going through and sort of really putting yourself in their shoes and being true to that.
Mhm. And I'm excited to see where season 6 goes. I mean, I think there's like 2 more weeks until the next episode, but I'm excited to see, I guess, where
I
they're
think
at.
one more week. I think one more week. We
One
didn't have
more?
last week. We didn't have today. So next week. Oh no. What next week? You're right. 2 more weeks. Next week we're off and then we're back on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
usually I wait until the whole season airs, but people keep posting spoilers on TikTok, so I like feel like I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with
Um,
that story, with that storyline. It's like on
I
social
no,
media.
but no, I feel like I found out about the breakup scene before I watched the episode, which was really upsetting.
Yeah.
So I don't go on TikTok Tuesday nights now.
It was everywhere. I don't know how people could hide from that scene if you are on social media because that scene was everywhere.
I was like, oh, I feel like you now that you have TikTok, I feel like you probably got tagged and like I feel like you probably get tagged in all the edits and maybe you didn't like the first like the earlier seasons.
Yeah, now that I'm on TikTok, people definitely, it's coming to my algorithm that people are definitely tagging me more.
I feel like every Tuesday is when like all I feel like all the edits start like they start coming in.
Yeah, yeah, it
Very
gets flooded.
dedicated fan base.
The best. We have the best fans for sure.
Yeah. And then I guess you mentioned like you and Melissa like have kind of worked together to kind of like workshop like the relationship between Tim and Lucy. Can you share any like memorable behind the scenes anecdotes or moments from like filming with Melissa and kind of like how they help to shape your understanding or approach to your character's relationship?
I don't know if there's any. I mean, it's just a lot of dialogue. Where when we get very important scenes, we talk through some of the dialogue. If it doesn't roll off the tongue the right way or feel like we need to have more to get to a place. It kind of happened with the breakup. The dialogue was great, but we also improvised a bit and we added things and we tried to pull from some real thoughts about how like we would feel in that situation. Because it was a very awkward breakup as well. It wasn't a traditional breakup. It wasn't even like it's almost like Tim didn't know he was going to do it, but he was so destroyed and distraught about everything that he was had gone through, and then she was kind of in shock that he was doing it. So we kind of talked through a lot of that because that was a tough scene to sort of play. It wasn't just straightforward, um, and a lot of it just had to live in the moment.
Yeah.
But our philosophy, I will say, she likes to talk things through more than I do. I get very much like, let's just do it, let's see what happens, and then we'll find it. Um, but it works well because we compromise, and I listen to her when she wants to talk through it, and then some stuff we just find on the spot. So it is a blend of the two ways in which we work.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's also interesting because I feel like it wasn't like an argumentative breakup. Like it kind of
And it was sad.
yeah.
It was actually sad. Like I've watched that scene, and I felt bad for both of them. Like I didn't think she deserved it, but I could see the pain that Tim was dealing with, and like he is so immature in how to handle that kind of situation, and so he didn't know what else to do. It's
Yeah.
just like I'm not good enough for this, and you felt bad for him.
Mhm. Yeah. I was like, hopefully season 6 ends. I know you can't give spoilers, but hopefully season 6 ends on a better note for them. Um, and then switching gears a bit, you're launching a new rum line called Palm Republic soon. Can you share a little bit more about kind of what inspired you to venture into this space?
Yeah, rum. was not a drink I was super familiar with until about almost 20 years ago when I met my wife, was Puerto Rican. And I'll never forget the first time I went to Puerto Rico to meet her family, her dad and her brothers, and everybody said, "Hey, we're gonna break out some 8-year rum and we're all gonna have some rum and talk." And I realized, oh, that's what they drink. They drink rum. Like I wasn't a I never would think to go to rum. And in the Caribbean, that is their bourbon, that's their whiskey, that's their everyday, spirit. And I remember how much that moment sort of meant to me for the first time having that with the family and being part of their culture. And I started to go down this road of going, wow, rum is really good. There are a lot of rums out there. Let me taste all these different rums. And it's a spirit that's made in different parts all over the world, and it takes on different characteristics of where it's made, the distilling techniques and everything else. So I started to explore this more and more throughout the years, getting very excited about rum. And then I would say a few years ago, my wife and I started talking, and I got really passionate about this idea, saying, there aren't a lot of great rums that you can find in the US market. There's stuff that's imported, it's all overseas or in the Caribbean or South America, or just Latin America in general, but there's not a ton here in the States. So we started exploring ways to put it together, whether we were going to do it out of Puerto Rico or not. And I met my partner, Brad Parks, through another mutual friend who had also had a similar feeling, loved rum, loved spirits, but loved rum in particular. And he had gone down this journey as well. So our timing was sort of serendipitous where we were at. And we came together, and that's where Palm Republic started to build from.
Yeah, that's really cool. Did you kind of like get to go to like Puerto Rico and meet the like I guess like farmers or like how
Yeah. So
did you kind of like get involved in that process?
I did that early on when I was exploring, but our rum doesn't have, we're going to come out with a SKU that has at least a Puerto Rican part to the blend or a full Puerto Rican rum. We don't know yet, but our current SKU is Panamanian, USVI, and Jamaican. That's the blend of the aged. Um, and when I was there, I had tried different rums in all these different regions. So I was part of that process of tasting from these different areas and the different distilling processes. But when we were in Puerto Rico, I'd go rum tasting all the time. I'd go to different sugarcane fields. I go to get different distilleries. And so I was getting very familiar with how it works in Puerto Rico. So I knew a lot what was going on in these other countries as well, and the different techniques. Um, and that's how we took together some of the best blends that we liked from these different regions and worked with an incredible master distiller that was part of Diageo, and he helped us formulate this blend.
Yeah, that's really cool. Wait, is the wine rack behind you all is that also yours? Or
That's
the
all wine. Yeah, yeah, that's my wine.
oh yeah, the wine and the rum.
Most of it for show, but it is a lot of wine.
Okay, I was like, maybe you'll have like a I don't know how rum is displayed. Maybe you'll have like a rack for your rum one day
Yeah,
too.
rum's just behind the bar, sitting right there.
Oh,
A nice light shine on the bottom.
there we go. And then every brand kind of has a story behind its name. Was there like a story or like behind the name Palm Republic, or how did you come up with that?
There's not we were coming up with just different things. Palm trees always made us feel like, vacation, beach, the places that we would frequent that had these different rums. Palm trees just felt synonymous with escape and getaway and relaxation. Um, and the Republic was kind of like just bringing people together. And we kind of feel like in the name, we always say we hope everybody finds their own sort of Palm Republic in their, story, their journey. Like it's just kind of bringing in the cultures and the communities and the friends and the processes all together. And it felt reflective of my life in a way. I'm a part of a blended family, cultures that came together, and our rum is the same way. It's a bunch of cultures coming together in one bottle. So you get like we always say, there's a story in every sip. You know.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited. I'm excited for it to come out next month. And then last question, I guess, with the launch of Palm Republic coming up soon, what are you the most excited about?
Oh, it's nerve wracking and exciting. Just like when you work so hard on something and you try to build something up, and being a part of something that has many others involved as well. It's exciting just to get it launched and be out there and see something that you've worked for come to fruition and hit market. Uh, but it's nerve wracking as well. So I'm excited for both. I'm just excited to get it out there and be like, let's go, let's hustle, let's grind, and let's go introduce this to the world. I'm excited to meet fans and be at signings at liquor stores and interact with people and just get them excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. Are you able to share more about like what's coming next for Palm Republic after it? I know you're launching the silver and the aged in May, right?
Yeah, they'll be launched sort of end of May, And then we have some events that we're working on. We have some great placements with different venues. We'll have some, launches and stuff like that, different activations, launch parties, if you will. And then our goal, we'll have great merchandise, we have all that kind of stuff too. But our goal is to go into another SKU, maybe even do a further aged one, or possibly a Caribbean blend
Mhm.
that leans heavily on Puerto Rico that we can maybe distill there. But just continue to explore the market. We have a concert event that we're going to be doing with Univision at the end of the year that we're excited about. So there's fun stuff that we're building up for it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited to kind of like see all those things come to fruition. Also got to shout out the hat. It was like very
Yeah, it is.
nice
That's one of our.
placement. I don't know if you guys had a shirt, but could have.
Well, you'll get some stuff. We have shirts coming. We have hats coming. Um, we have some great merch. There's good stuff.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'm excited for that to come out. But yeah, that was all the questions that I had.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for kind of taking the time to sit down and chat with us.